What is up, my casual film peeps? I'm Warren, the casual film guy, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to share a theory, a film theory. Just kidding, film theory. Love your channel, by the way. That is, if you're listening to this. Doubtful though. But that was a bad imitation. Anyway, I'm going to share with you guys a theory that I don't see going around as much regarding Ned, played by Jacob Batalon or Batalon, becoming the Hobgoblin in Spider Man No Way Home. Yes, I said that right. We could actually see Ned become the Hobgoblin in No Way Home, or at least a post credit scene of some sort in the movie, hinting that he will soon become this villain. Perhaps in the next Spider Man movie, or if ever they create a Sinister Six movie. But I won't be surprised if it's in the next Spider Man related movie, whatever that will be. Of course, I don't have any proof that any of my theories will actually happen or sources to back this up, but if anything, I think this movie would be the best conduit to introduce this new villain into the MCU. Okay, so before I move forward, there could be possible spoilers ahead in case any of this comes true. So if you don't want anything ruined before the movie comes out, click away now. You have been warned. Now, to many of us, we speculate that Ned will eventually become the Hobgoblin, but there isn't any confirmation yet that he will be the overlapping tunic cape wearing version of the Green Goblin, right? So, although it very well may be true, considering the actor has lost significant weight, possibly for his transformation as the Hobgoblin, and he has expressed a huge desire to play a villain someday as well. But we'll just have to wait patiently until the movie comes out on December 17th to North American. It's going to be like a couple of days early in the rest of the world, I guess. So kind of weird how that is, but it is what it is. To see if it actually happens, though. Now, of course, it is possible that he lost the weight just for another role outside the MCU, or just simply wants to be healthier, which is, by the way, Homie looks good and he has accomplished a feat that many struggles with, myself included. So bravo to Jacob, the actor, for having the discipline and putting forth the sacrifice and hard work to lose all that weight. But at the same time, I don't think he would be as motivated to lose the weight unless he knew he was going to be the Hobgoblin. Because even though physical looks doesn't define a character, as long as the filmmakers can make it work in the story, I mean, look at Fat Thor and how they somehow made that work. But I've never seen a fat hobgoblin in the comic version, so losing the weight makes sense for the role. But let's hypothetically say it is confirmed that Jacob will play the hobgoblin, and it's shown in this movie. Now, the only real question then would be how? How is the MCU going to introduce us to the hobgoblin, and will it hopefully be done in a way that makes sense? Now, I'm not a Marvel fanboy, and at the end of the day, this is just a movie after all. But I do love the MCU, mainly because of how everything connects and the way they tell the overall story through all these characters we love and have grown attached to. I've always admired how they translate these comic book characters into the silver screen while still crafting an original story that makes sense. So, in hindsight, I'm not really worried, but at the same time, I am curious and cautiously optimistic, considering that there are some MCU movies that were not so great after all. Eternals. Nevertheless, here's how I think they'll incorporate this villain into the No Way Home movie, and by doing so, will elevate this movie even more than it already is. But before I do, it does take a lot of time and effort to create this video. So if you like what you see and want to support the channel, please do me a solid and smash that like button. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and ring that notification bell so YouTube knows you're enjoying the video. Okay, so on to my theory. I think clues that Ned will become the Hobgoblin are already evident in the No Way Home trailer alone. First, we get this scene of Tom Holland looking beat up, wet, tired, but most of all sorrowful, probably from regret or guilt of not doing something he should have done. And I think that something is when Ned falls off the scaffolding at the Statue of Liberty and he wasn't able to save him because he chose to save MJ instead. More on that choice later, by the way. Because in this scene right here, you see Ned as he tried to save MJ, which causes him to break the scaffolding and dangle at the edge of it as well. but MJ ends up falling anyway. But after MJ is saved by whom I believe will be Andrew Garfield's Spider Man instead of Tom Holland's, and I'll say why in a little bit. But because no one was there to save Ned, he ends up falling. But instead of dying, he is severely injured, maybe paralyzed from neck to toe or something like that, and or in a coma. 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 But definitely not dead. If he died, I don't think Peter Parker will look this way at the beginning of the trailer. Instead, he'll be bawling his eyes out, right? Since Ned is his best friend and all. They are besties after all. And I can't really think of a reason why Peter would look this way in the scene anyway, unless, Ned fell and he hurt himself. I also don't think Sony and Marvel will create another Gwen Stacy death scene, and so MJ will be saved by both Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland. But here's how I think it's going to take place, though. So Tom Holland's Spider-Man will leap towards MJ to try and save her, just like it was shown in the trailer. But I think Andrew Garfield will in turn create some sort of spider netting at the bottom to break her fall in case Tom comes short. Yes, Andrew, don't shoot your web at the girl this time. Or then again, in the actual movie, Andrew is the one who jumps to save her instead. I mean, it is possible to CGI in Tom Spider-Man just like they're able to remove the other two Spider-Men just for the trailer. That way, we're all like thrown off guard and surprised later on once the movie comes out. But in actuality, it's Andrew Garfield's jumping to save MJ. Marvel has done this many times to keep this suspense and surprise, which I do appreciate. I mean, they kind of have to because it is difficult to keep things secretive in movies nowadays with social media and the internet, and some people just love to spoil crap. Either way, I think it makes more sense that Andrew's Spider Man saves MJ instead of Tom as a way to redeem himself for not saving Gwen and not have this Spider Man go through the same grief with his woman as he did in this universe. So that's what I think will happen to MJ. But my boy Ned, the poor dude, well, I think he will fall because they're so focused on MJ that they forgot about it. Or they see him falling and actually get saved, but it was so last minute that he gets severely injured anyway, almost dying in the process because Andrew shoots his web at him, snapping his back. Uh, or Tom tries to break his fall by tackling him into a hard surface or object, again, breaking his back in the process. I don't know how it's going to play out exactly, but I think Ned will fall and get injured in the process. I'm sure of that. 99% sure. Anyway, I mean, he kind of has to, he needs to get really hurt bad or almost die somehow because that would be the perfect segue and reason to become the Hobgoblin. I think while he's recuperating in the hospital somewhere, he'll get brainwashed by the Green Goblin somehow. I mean, I don't think any of these villains will die in this movie, by the way, even though Doctor Strange is trying to bring them back to their reality at the point where they were killed by their own Spider Man, as mentioned in the trailer. Although Sandman never died, but I don't think this is the same Sandman either. I'm sure they'll explain that in the movie. But anyway, I think somehow Norman Osborn will try and brainwash Ned to get back at Peter for choosing MJ over him because technically they were friends first before Peter and MJ ever became a couple. So Spider Man forgot it's always bros before hoes, man. Just kidding. Or Green Goblin does die. But after he does, his spirit transfers to Ned right after he is sent to the hospital for surgery, eventually getting well and getting stronger too, since the Green Goblin has superhuman strength for the Goblin Serum. So, I mean, this does make sense because if it is William Dafoe as the Green Goblin, again, the dude is older now, and I think it's more cost effective and realistic to have younger actors instead of always using de aging technology, right? So, and they can always bring back Green Goblin too if they're able to create a story about that. No one in Marvel actually dies anyway. I mean, I hear Scarlett Johansson's coming back somehow. But anyway, I think somehow Ned will be influenced by the Green Goblin, almost like the comics. And then on another scene, maybe towards the end of the movie or even a post-credit scene, I think we'll see where this leaked photo was taken, which I do think is in No Way Home as well. I don't think this is from a new Spider-Man movie or any other movie. So I think it's from this movie. I mean, why would the actor post this anyway? What's the point unless he's teasing Hobgoblin? Again, maybe a post-credit scene, but in this photo we see him starting to decompose in a way, and he has already lost the weight. Like, what would happen when your body starts to wither away after you die, you know? So it makes sense. Plus, because if you notice in the trailer, Ned still looked a little chunky, right? Whereas in the photo, you can see in his face that he lost a lot of weight. And dare I say, slowly starting to turn into the Hobgoblin. Because if you look hard enough, you'll see hints of green in his face. And I don't know if this was intentional though, but his beanie is the same color as the Hobgoblin's tunic and cape. So there's that. Anyway, that's really all I wanted to say in this video. And as I said earlier, I don't think this was ever theorized, or at least how the Hobgoblin character will enter the MCU. Either way, I think this movie will be as big, and if not bigger, than the Infinity War movies. I mean, that's a tall order and definitely a big hypothetical, but it is possible. And just because of all the hype, the theories, the guests, appearances, and possibly more surprises that none of us have yet to know. I think that's the reasons why it could be very big. And for all we know, we probably just barely scratched the surface of what this movie will be. But I think it's positioned to be one of the best, if not the best, biggest, and most epic Marvel movies yet. Of course, it still could also suck. Anyway, what do you guys think? Do you agree or disagree with my theory? Do you have a Hobgoblin theory of your own? Whatever it is, share your thoughts below. And, as always, I appreciate you guys checking out the channel and watching the video. That's it for me today. Everyone else, have a great, rest of your day and happy Thanksgiving. And until the next video, stay casual.